And just in case.
Just gotta remember the first line, that everyone else gets it. Yeah, right.
Mayor Flores, is your audio
Yes.
working? Perfect.
Yeah, thank you. All right, colleagues and those in the chamber, it is 6:30 p.m. and I'd like to call to order our regularly scheduled meeting of the South San Francisco City Council. Clerk, can I please have roll call?
Councilmember Coleman,
Here.
Councilmember Nicholas,
Present.
Councilmember Nogales,
Here.
Vice Mayor Adiego,
Here.
Mayor Flores.
Present. At this time, I'd like to invite our youth in government senior from South San Francisco High School, who is serving as assistant city manager for the 2025 Youth in Government cohort, Max Hollenbach, to come up to the podium and join us reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you are able to and place your right hand over your heart and let's pledge together. Max, take it away.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Very well done. Really appreciate that. Next item, please.
Moving on to agenda review.
We have no
Anything?
no changes to the agenda, Mayor Flores.
Great, thank you. Next agenda item.
Moving on to Levine Act disclosures. Are there any Levine Act disclosures that the council has to report? No? Thank you. Moving on to announcements from staff.
Excellent. Let's move on.
Moving on to announcements from staff.
Great.
I am waiting for the flyer. I'll make the announcement anyway. Good evening, Mayor Eddy, Vice Mayor Adiego, City Council members. I'm Valerie Summer, Library Director, and I am pleased to invite everyone to attend an author program next Monday, April 14th at 6:30 p.m. here in the City Council chambers. Wahini Vara has been a tech reporter for the Wall Street Journal, editor and writer for the New Yorker's online business section, and has written articles for the New York Times Magazine, The Atlantic, Business Week, and Wired. Wahini is the author of several books, including The Immortal King Rao, which was a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize. She will be talking about her new book that hit the street yesterday. The book is Searches, Selfhood in the Digital Age. It's an exploration of 21st century technology's impact on individuals, society, and humanity, including the upsides and downsides of AI. This should be interesting. Please join Mayor Eddy and library staff on Monday evening here in the council chambers. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie.
Okay, I have one more announcement. May is AAPI Month, Asian American and Pacific Islander Month, and the Library and Parks and Recreation Departments are planning a lineup of programs. Today, I'll feature one of those programs. On Saturday, May 10th at 1 p.m. here in the City Council chambers, learn about the history and basics of the sport of dragon boating by South San Francisco's Oyster Point Dragons, or OPD, through an audio-visual and teammate presentation. Formed in 2012 and based out of Oyster Point Marina, OPD consists of a diverse group of individuals ages 12 to 80, including strong athletes and cancer and heart attack survivors. OPD promotes good health, exercise, teamwork, competition, and fun. Find out about their community-focused programs and how you can get involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Sumner. Next up, our Director of Parks and Recreation, Greg Midiotti. Greg?
Good evening, Greg Midiotti, Director of Parks and Rec, with just a couple quick announcements. First, on behalf of our capital projects team, I'm happy to announce after a few months of design work, we are ready to share plans for an improved Dundee Park from 5:30 to 7 p.m. On April 14th. Staff will host an open house at the park. If you can't make the meeting, no worry. We will also be having an online survey where you can review those same plans available next week on our website, ssf.net/parkprojects. And secondly, next slide, as part of the Orange Memorial Park Aquatic Center project, the city will be constructing a new Veterans Memorial. And as part of that, we will be hosting a Veterans Stakeholder Meeting on April 24th at 6 p.m. at City Hall, where we will be reviewing the overall design of the memorial, gathering input on plaque options and other amenities, giving an update on the refresh of the Eternal Flame sculpture, and discussing the project schedule. Also, as a reminder, the city is still collecting submissions for the veterans who died in the line of duty or from service-connected exposure to be included on those plaques. More information is also on our website, ssf.net/parkprojects. And finally, all are invited to join the Parks and Rec Department as we celebrate Arbor Day and Earth Day on April 26th at 9 a.m. at Sister Cities Park. We'll be joining volunteers from the Improving Public Places Committee and others in planting dozens of trees and hundreds of native plants. We look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Greg. Appreciate it. Next up, our Assistant to the City Manager, Marie Patel.
Hello there, and last but not least, I am proud to talk about the next Neighborhood Cleanup Day, which will be Saturday, April 19th, 10 a.m. to 1. There's the flyer, and we're going to meet at Gardner Park and clean up District 5. This is a shout out to Public Works for putting this together. They had one last weekend, which was a great success, and looking forward to doing it again on Saturday, April 19th. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Maria. And just as a reminder to those in the audience and watching, you do not have to be a resident of District 5 to attend. Anyone and everyone is welcome, all ages, all generations. This is a community event. Bring out the whole family and help us clean up our beautiful city. Last and certainly not least, I'm going to toss it over to our City Manager, Sharon Reynolds. We will be introducing our Youth in Government Cohort 2025. For the students that are in Chamber Hall, I'd like you all to state your name, the high school that you attend, and what position you're shadowing. So if you could come up to the podium and line up. But I'll toss it over to you, Sharon, so you could give a little context.
Thank you, Mayor Flores. We're very happy to once again be sponsoring the Youth in Government Day program. This is a long-standing tradition in South San Francisco that we've been doing for at least 40 years. And so in this program, the students are shadowing a counterpart, either a staff person or a council member, and they learn about local government and shadow their counterpart, and then it culminates with a mock city council meeting. So some of the students who were able to make it are here this evening just to kind of get the flavor of what they're going to be doing when they do their mock meeting. So thank you so much. We'd love to have the students please come up and introduce yourselves, because if I say some of the names, I'm afraid I will not say them correctly. So if you guys want to line up and just maybe introduce yourselves, and as the mayor said, what school you're from and who you're shadowing.
Hello, I'm Max Hollenbach. I go to South San Francisco High School. I'm a senior, and I'm shadowing the Assistant City Manager, Rich Lee.
Hi, my name is Felipe Ruiz. I attend South San Francisco. I'm also a senior, and I'll be shadowing the Director of Parks and Recreational Services.
Great.
Hi, my name is Alejandra Kumis. I am a junior at El Camino, and I will be shadowing the Director of DEI, Devin Stenhouse.
Hi, my name is Laszlo Polsky. I go to South San Francisco High School, and I'm shadowing Council Member James Coleman.
Great. Thank you all for being in the hall. It's a great honor to continue this legacy program in joint partnership with the South San Francisco Unified School District, El Camino High School, and South San Francisco High School. I want to thank the teachers, the staff that are making this possible, and of course to you all, the students, department heads, and all our city staff who are taking time in the next couple of weeks to mentor, train the next generation of leaders here in our beautiful city. Let's give them a round of applause. Excellent. And before we continue with the next item, I just wanted to clarify or just share that I am remote due to attending a conference out of town for work. If at any point in time, due to technology, I would drop, I will ask my vice mayor to continue on with the meeting and proceed as well as I join back, but don't want to delay the meeting by any chance. With that, clerk, can I have the next item, please?
Moving on to presentations, item 1 is a proclamation recognizing National Library Week for April 6th through April 12th, 2025.
Thank you, and I've asked my colleague, Councilmember Mark Nogales, to make this presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm honored to recognize April 6th to the 12th, 2025 as National Library Week. Growing up in South City, my family didn't have a lot of money, so we couldn't really travel. So my form of travel was through going to the library. And for those who are old enough to remember, the Orange Library used to have a microfilm. And so what I would do is I would just pull out a spool and put it on the film and just look and read all the different events happening throughout the world. And that was, for me, my form of vacation and learning about what was happening in the world. So the library definitely has a special place for me and for my family, because now my 2 children get to enjoy this wonderful new space and this new library that we have here, that every time I go, it's always well attended. I can just hear the children going back and forth looking for books, and I know my kids enjoy it very much. So it's we do have a proclamation here. I'm going to read a couple of whereases. Whereas libraries make choices that are good for the environment and make sense economically, creating thriving communities for a better tomorrow. Whereas libraries are an essential public good and a fundamental institution in democratic societies working to improve society, protect their right to education and literacy, celebrate our collective history, and promote free exchange of information and ideas for all. Whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of South San Francisco does hereby proclaim National Library Week, April 6th to 12th, 2025, encourages all residents to visit their library, make your mark by volunteering or spreading the word, and take advantage of the wonderful programs, services, or resources at our libraries. And this is signed by the entire City Council. If I can ask our president of the library board, Dr. Camacho, and I also see the vice president here, Catherine Abos, to come and receive this proclamation. And Valerie, do you want to come up too as well? Thank you.
Thank you so much for this proclamation for National Library Week. Just 2 highlights for this is yesterday was National Library Worker Appreciation Day. So thank you to Valerie Sommer, our library director, and all the incredible staff in the library for all the things that they do. And tomorrow is National Library Advocacy Day. And today, in 2025, we need every advocate for public libraries that we can get. Because we are facing significant challenges to the programs that we offer. So everyone, if you haven't done so, reach out to people and advocate for public libraries tomorrow and every day, because they are a service, like Councilmember Nogales mentioned, that so many of our families rely on every day. So thank you so much for this recognition.
Thank you very much, Library Board President Camacho. Thank you very much, Councilmember Nogales. Next item, please.
Item number 2 is a proclamation recognizing April as Volunteer Appreciation Month.
Thank you, and I've asked my colleague, Councilmember Coleman, to make this presentation.
Right, thank you. It is my honor to recognize April as National Volunteer Appreciation Month. Our city here in South San Francisco, we believe that government alone cannot meet all of our city's needs, and so we partner with our businesses, our nonprofit organizations, foundations, parents, guardians, individuals, and neighbors who serve in city government and South San Francisco Unified School District to make a difference in our community. We have an outstanding group of citizen volunteers who give many, many hours of their time to meet the needs of our community and give their unselfish efforts to help shape our government, which can affect positive change all throughout our community. All in all, we have over 1,500 volunteers who volunteer every year, serving the city, ranging from our CERT members to various other groups, such as the Improving Public Places, Friends of Parks and Rec, Friends of the Library, Sign Hill Stewards, to our volunteers who help with tax preparation and project retutoring, volunteering for Full of Fun Camp, to volunteering for our annual Halloween extravaganza and food distribution events. And in addition, our city recognizes the more than 100 volunteers with our Adopt a Storm Drain program, which has helped reduce localized flooding and decrease litter and debris from entering our 125 miles of South San Francisco stormwater infrastructure and waterways. South San Francisco would not be as wonderful as a community as it is today without the help of so many of our volunteers. And so, of course, it's hard to recognize just a couple volunteers, but we have a few of them in the audience today. Sylvia Mosqueda and Farhad and Laura Doctor. And no matter what the events are, whether it be planting trees, whether it be teaching kids how to ride a bike, or distributing food to families who need it during the holiday season, we can always see their friendly faces there pretty consistently. And so I want to give this to Laura and Farhad Doctor and Sylvia Mosqueda for the many, many hours of service that they have contributed to the South San Francisco community.
Let's give him a hand, please.
If I may say some short words. Sorry, I'm little. All right. And I had to write it down because I'm not good at memorizing. Where'd you go? Okay. Thank you, Mayor, and of course, Council and the entire city of South San Francisco for this incredibly kind recognition. We are truly honored to receive this. The community work has always been close to my heart, and it's something that connected Farhad and I. We don't do it for recognition, but because we believe in the power of connection, kindness, and showing up for each other. To be acknowledged by a community that has become our second home, if not mostly our first, we spend more time here than anywhere else, is extremely meaningful. So this isn't just about us, but it reflects for the people we've had the opportunity to work alongside, and the families we've supported, and the belief that we care for our neighbors. When we do that, we all thrive. So thanks again for this moment, and we will carry it with us always. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Thank you, Sylvia, Farhad, and Laura.
Next item, we have item number 3, which is a proclamation recognizing April as Arab American Heritage Month.
Thank you very much. And I've asked my colleague, Councilmember Flor Nicholas, to make this presentation.
It is my honor, on behalf of the Council, to recognize April as Arab American Heritage Month. We know that this month celebrates the achievements and contributions of Arab Americans in the whole United States, and in particular in our community here. Arab Americans came to the United States in the late 1800s, and they are omnipresent and giving their valuable contributions in medicine, law, business, education, technology, government, culinary, military service, and culture. Also, this year, their Heritage Month theme is honoring the past and inspiring the future. This is also a great time for us to challenge the anti-Arab stereotypes and prejudices. And it is my honor to present this to one of our active participants in the community, Sam Shihadeh, who is a commissioner in our Planning Commission. Sam, I'll meet you down.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, city staff. We really appreciate this. In this historical juncture, this day and time, what our country is going through, what our community is going through is incredibly challenging. Not only the anti-Arab stereotypes, but the attempts to silence anybody who speaks on behalf of humanity, on behalf of human rights, and all the devastation that we see daily. We are part of this community. We cherish this community. We have people in all sectors of this society. This is one of the few places, I would say one of the few cities in the Bay Area that is not only welcoming, but is encompassing to all the minority groups. And we all need to stand together, because it's not only the Arab Americans that are being challenged, every single minority is being challenged. And we do need to stand up, we do need to speak up. Although there's attempts to silence the student movement, silence anybody who speaks, not only on our behalf, but on behalf of civil rights and human rights. The Trump administration is obviously trying to take all these gains that all of us collectively have worked for many years to achieve. So I thank the South City community, and I thank the council, who's been very supportive of our community, and we appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on, next agenda item, please.
Moving on to council comments, requests.
Great. Who wants to start us off?
I'll go.
Thank you.
As the mayor mentioned, we have some special guests who are part of the Youth in Government Day. I do want to give a shout out to Isabella Tolentino, who is shadowing me. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it today. She's a junior at El Camino High School. And when I asked her, what do you want to major in? She wants to major in political science and public health. And she's already looking at you in Berkeley. And she's done a lot of work in terms of social justice. So this is someone we should definitely pay attention to, and I believe one day will make South City very, very proud. Myself and Councilmember Coleman, we went to the San Mateo County Asian American Pacific Islander Alliance. They had an event here to meet with your local elected officials in the North County. They're doing events throughout the county. And it was it was a great event. We had folks come out and meet kind of local elected officials from the API community. And Isabella was there, so she got to meet a lot of local elected officials around the region as well. So thank you to the API Alliance for hosting that, and Councilmember Coleman, thank you for putting that together. And the council went to just a couple of days ago, we had a fireboat dedication. And there are some great pictures out there of this beautiful new fireboat that we have that's going to really be a game changer in terms of saving lives and for boats. Previously, before we had a fireboat, I learned that we would have to wait for maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes before a boat would come to the South City Harbor. We already had one previously, but that one was getting a little old. So we have a new one. And let me tell you, if you've never been to a ceremony, like a fire department ceremony, this was the one to go to because of the sheer amount of all these fireboats from various cities coming and kind of like welcoming this new fireboat with this ceremonial like water like spraying over the boat. The council did go inside so we wouldn't get wet. But it was just amazing. And so thank you to the staff who put it together. Thank you, obviously, Chief Sampson and all the fire department. Council got to go out there on the boat, and we did have a little fun out there. So that was very enjoyable. Yesterday, myself and 7 staff from South City, we did a walk audit along Westboro Boulevard. And the backstory is about a year ago, myself and Eugene Kim, our Public Works Director, and Matt Rubel, our principal engineer, we actually went to Westboro Middle School because we were hearing some concerns about traffic and speeding up and down Westboro Boulevard. And we ended up speaking with the vice principal there. And that conversation led to what happened yesterday, which was a walk audit. We've done this with a couple other schools around the district, but we actually had staff come, and 7 individuals here, so I think that shows how important this was to staff, or maybe because it was me asking everyone to come and show up. But I want to thank John Wilson, our associate civil engineer, Jeff Chow, our senior civil engineer, Lawrence Henkris, senior civil engineer, Megan Woolley, our principal planner, Matt Rubel, our principal engineer, Eugene Kim, our public works director, and Rich Lee, our assistant city manager. What we were doing out there, we were actually looking and seeing how we can improve the flow of traffic up in Westboro, because what we're seeing right now is we do see cars kind of parking to the right side and blocking the bike lane. And school gets out around 3:15. By 2:50, there are already 20 to 30 cars lined up on Westboro Boulevard blocking the right-of-way. And so we're going to look at how we can improve the flow of traffic there. And, one of the things we've talked about looking is maybe putting some sort of radar up there about how fast cars are going, because typically when people see how fast they're going, they typically slow down. So I look forward to getting the report from the walk audit and implementing a lot of the recommendations to improve safety out there. And I know that we'll continue to do these walk audits throughout the county. And then lastly, I was voluntold, in a sense. I serve on the airport roundtable, and there's a legislative committee. And we try to work on several legislative issues along with the airport. And I was voluntold, as I mentioned, to join the legislative committee. So hopefully we can do some things out there in terms of airport noise with the FAA, though we don't control the contours and the flight patterns. But, Congressman Kevin Mullen obviously has close connections to South City. One of the things we want to do is basically get him more involved with the airport roundtable to see what we can do, because we do get a lot of flights over South San Francisco and a lot of concerns about the flight noises. So with that, I think I'll end it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, council member, and thank you for your leadership there in the Westboro neighborhood and with the Westboro Middle School as well. Let's go down the line. So, Vice Mayor Diego?
Thank you, Mayor Flores. Before I go over the items I wanted to share with the public, I just wanted to take a moment. I was listening to Sam Shahada reflecting on what it's like for him now in this community and in this country with all the upset that's coming out of Washington, D.C. And I've known the Shahada family. Before I knew Sam, I knew his mother and his father when they were in business together on Magnolia Avenue in the 70s. This family has been a pillar of the community for a very long time, and they continue to invest in the community in business, but also invest in with their charity work in our community. And Sam, we are a better city because of the Shahada family and many of the families that have made South San Francisco their home over the last decade. So thank you, Sam. So the fireboat christening was spectacular. But what I took away from there, what was most meaningful to me, was to see how the local fire department personnel interfaced with the Coast Guard. I came away thinking there was great respect between those two organizations. The Coast Guard is very thankful that South San Francisco was able to procure a rescue boat. And it also has firefighting capability. But it's really the rescues on the water that are most important. We learned that in an average year, there are 40 rescues that need to be made on our portion of the San Francisco Bay in any one year. And our rescue boat is the only one between San Francisco and Redwood City. And on the rare occasion when there is a fire, and we did experience that when we were without a boat, it took 45 minutes for the nearest fire boat to reach South San Francisco. And then by then, what occurs is the boat has burned down to the water line and it's basically over. So the boat is called Industrial. My hat off to, I don't know if that was Chief Sampson, but somebody touched on the history of the town and recognized that Industrial was the right name for the boat. So it's something that we all cheered that day. The day before, this was last Friday, the day before I was at a San Francisco Bay Conservation Development Commission, BCDC is the acronym, and we were having discussions, a presentation about the San Francisco Bay Water Trail. So this is actually, it's not exactly a trail, but it's point to point along different parts of the bay where you can enter the bay if you're a kayaker or on a canoe or sailboards and such. So it's really, there's a great push to get people, so few people in our community in the Bay Area really take advantage of what the Bay has to offer. So there's hope that people will become more involved. But with that, there will be more concern that somebody might get in a little bit of trouble. The Bay is really a very dynamic spot. So in the morning, it can be clear as glass, and then in the early afternoon, it can get very choppy. So I think that we were very fortunate that our department stayed on top of this and was able to procure the boat. At that meeting, we were informed that the state of California, BCDC is a state agency, state of California has, or the governor's office has determined that by July the 4th, if you're an employee, you will work in office 4 days a week. And I guess that means you could have 1 day working from home. I'm going to turn to the city manager now. I've waited a long time, but I'm going to encourage that we look at doing the same thing. And I would like, by July 1st, a report on how many people are working from home. Then a couple of small items. There was some noise in the community on the corner of Linden and North Canal. There was something called the Zark Recycling Center. Now, if you recognize that every can you purchase and every large bottle that you're leaving money for the recycling, this is the only place where people can bring their product in to get their money back. There is nothing available in shopping centers anymore. And so it's well utilized. And I think some of the people that utilize it really need to take advantage of that is readily available here in South San Francisco. So recently I was told that a sign went up and it says that it's closed till April the 15th. I think it's just a rumor, but I'm going to ask again the city manager to look into it. That there was some noise from someone that works at the facility that there was a dispute with the city. So I'm asking Sharon Reynolds to look into that. And if that's not the case, please let me know right away. And if it is the case, I'd like to know why. So that completes my report for this evening.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Councilmember Coleman.
All right, thank you. This past couple of weeks have been very busy with ribbon cuttings, which is very exciting in and around the South San Francisco community. First, there was a ribbon cutting for the Wildflower, new cafe right by our Caltrain station, which is going to be a wonderful place for people to grab their breakfast, grab a drink after work. And it is a very nice space, and I'm looking forward to having many more events there. Second, there was the ribbon cutting for Jigalchi, which is a Korean food hall at Serramonte. So our neighboring city, Daly City, our friendly neighbors to the north, but it's a beautiful food hall with many great Asian options, including a restaurant and also street food options and stalls inside. So I recommend everyone to go take a look as soon as the crowd dies down. The lines are very long. And third, I want to give a big congratulations to Victor and Montserrat, who are the owners of Antigua Coffee Shop in South San Francisco, right across from City Hall. They just opened their second cafe in San Francisco. I was able to attend that ribbon cutting. It's called Morning Vibes, and it's right by, it's in the Sunset District, right by Golden Gate Park. And so if you're ever going to the park, stop by and have a good meal. So, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Nicholas?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And like my fellow council members, it was a great opportunity to be with the community and celebrate our acquisition and christening of our Fireboat Industrial. I'm very pleased and honored to be its godmother, although I failed my... Thank you, Chief, for helping out. Anyhow, there was kudos also to the Parks and Recreation staff and volunteers for the very successful Easter egg photo, and it was a really enjoyable event. You can see a long line of people and children at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's really wonderful to see again the joy that it brings to our community. I also joined the mayor at the All Souls Bazaar. It's first of its celebration during spring, and it's also again building community because they're also raising funds for one of their former students who is now gravely ill, and so it was really a wonderful time. The mayor was a hit. He was very impassioned, and a lot of kids there got the inspiration from him. On last Sunday, I also attended the Elks Lodge installation of their exalted ruler, and their new exalted ruler is a Superior Court Judge, Gail Decrion. And Monday night, thank you to Fire Chief Matt Sampson and the fire department staff. They provided our community with the fire hazard severity zone map. We got familiarized with that, and they encouraged everyone to opt in this SMC alert to make sure that we get the proper notifications so should anything happen. And then again, shout out to our youth who are participating in our youth in government, and also especially to our teachers, especially to Mr. Cap, who has been doing this for a while. That's it for me, Mayor.
Thank you very much. I want to just start off by thanking each one of my colleagues on city councils because each of you are able to stand in for me at different events that I'm unfortunately not able to attend because there's only so many hours and so many events in a day that I can cover, but thank you to each one because together we're a team and together we're all covering different sectors and geographic regions of our city and our region as well. I do want to also acknowledge and thank all the volunteers that came out this past Saturday to our District 5 community cleanup. It was very heartwarming to see all ages, and I mean all ages, from senior citizens to young kids coming out and really being dedicated, grabbing garbage bags, grabbing pails, putting on a vest, and really be about the community. It didn't matter what or where, they were ready to roll up their sleeves, and many of them brought back more than half a dozen bags full of garbage, of litter. And of course, we couldn't do this without the amazing support of the leadership of our public works team, as well as the staff that are there, that are coordinating, that are driving the trucks around, facilitating and mobilizing to make sure that our streets are clean and our volunteers don't have to be carrying those garbage bags around, but are picking them up at central locations, very coordinated and organized. Thank RISE South San Francisco also for supporting amplifying the messaging. Our teams here, communication team, and Jeanette for supporting, and everyone who chimed in, including our assistant city manager, Rich, for supporting me and doing all these events on Saturday. It was really great. The All Souls Bazaar, indeed, it was the inaugural event. It was so heartwarming to see community. That's really what it was. It was community, building community, different vendors, which I also love, small businesses that are thriving, that are supporting, some local, some from outside the city. And I want to thank the planning committee from All Souls School, the parents, the coach, the principal. Got a lot of invitations to come and speak at the school, and vice versa. We want to engage also the students, not only in our public schools, but our parochial schools as well. Very important. And they are also very important members of our community. So thank you for the invitation. Wildflower, like Councilmember Coleman said, a brand new spot happening right there at the Carol Matsumoto Caltrain Plaza. Please come check them out. They also do catering. So if you're thinking of your baby shower or birthday or whatnot, please support our local businesses. We have a plethora of excellent restaurants and small businesses that we could utilize in our day-to-day lives. I did want to just call out the immense planning, the attention to detail from Chief Matt Sampson, the battalion chiefs, and everyone that attended the boat celebration. It's not every day that we get to be on a boat, much less, say, a city that is able to bring much needed support through a fleet, through a vessel that is going to be serving in a very important role, a life-saving role for many individuals. So it was my great privilege and honor, and thank you to my council and those that were able to join us, members of the public, our CERT team, who's always out there. We can always count on you all to be there to support. So thank you. It was an excellent event, very well coordinated. I mentioned Wildflower and the location there near the Caltrain Plaza. I did reach out to our city manager team immediately after, as Councilmember Coleman and I did a little walk around there and went through the tunnel, the underground tunnel that connects to the platform of the Caltrain as the train, where the tracks are. And we did notice that there is some maintenance that needs to be upkept. I brought that to the attention of our city manager. Of course, our public works and our city team are always willing and able and more than happy to go the extra mile. But we are looking to have an opportunity to sit down with Caltrain themselves, as that is a commitment and agreement that they need to maintain. We can't just build it, have a ribbon cutting, and then forget about things like this. So the infrastructure needs to be kept, well kept, washed, maintained, and there's some things to be said in the little stroll that Councilmember Coleman and I did. So there's room for improvement, and I'm looking forward to being on that level of pushing Caltrain to make sure that they stick to their end of that agreement. Other than that, I also want to invite, like Marie said earlier, to the upcoming cleaning, but also to all the other events, including our youth art show that is coming up. There's many events happening this month of April. Thank you to all that are paying attention and reading the weekly email digital newsletter. There's a lot of great resources and information, and staff takes time. I take time in my day to make sure that it is well written, it is well produced. So make sure to pay attention to all the great announcements and events that are happening around town, and be informed. With that, I will turn it over to you, Clerk, for our next agenda item.
Moving on to public comment, we have 2 speakers registered on the iPad. I'd like to note we're having some syncing issues with the iPad, so if you'd like to speak on anything on the public comment portion for matters not on the agenda and items listed under the consent calendar, I ask that you come and write your name. I have a piece of paper up here, and if you want to speak on any items on the administrative portion, to come and note what item you'd like to speak on as well. But for public comment, we have Eric Colomer.
Hello, Honorable Mayor Flores, Vice Mayor Adiego, Honorable Council Members Nogales, Coleman, Nicolas. My name is Eric Colomer, and I've been wanting to introduce myself as the new Job Train Regional Director for North San Mateo County. While I am new to Job Train in this role, I have a history with the City of South San Francisco in my previous role as a community health worker promotor for the city's Promotores program. First, I'd like to offer my appreciation for the support and collaboration of the city and the economic development staff in creating the Economic Advancement Center. Creating this for the community and selecting Job Train to be the one to be able to provide employment services for anyone seeking employment opportunities at our Career Center at 366 Grand Avenue. A little bit about our Career Center. Job Train's Career Centers provide an array of specialized resources and one-on-one consulting to job seekers. We are committed to helping individuals find employment and provide the right tools for their job search. To date, in fiscal year 25, we have served 601 clients and have been able to place 129 job seekers in employment opportunities. Just to give you an idea as to what it is that Job Train does and our employment specialists do, we assist with not only job search, but we also provide resume development, cover letters, career coaching, supportive services, career training education, digital literacy workshops, instruction in IT, culinary, construction, property management, medical assistant, and CNA, certified nursing assistants, and a lot more. We have an advanced manufacturing course coming up April 21st for anyone that would like to join. We still have availability. But all this to say that, we are excited to be working with the community of South San Francisco. And finally, on April 30th, from 8:30 a.m. to 10, at the Hyatt Regency at San Francisco Airport, Job Train is celebrating its 60th anniversary with our Breakfast of Champions celebration. We are celebrating over 60 years of service in workforce development. We have by creating an economic mobility opportunity for all career training education students and clients receiving services at one of our 6 career centers in the Bay Area. We would be honored to have representatives of South San Francisco sponsored and be in attendance. I have left a package with your clerk. Thank you for everything that you do, and God bless.
Next, we have Maud Igstorm.
Mayors, Vice Mayor, and City Council. My name is Maud Igstorm, and I live on Bettman Way of Greendale, that is in Westboro. Bettman Way is the only street that has a stop sign. It's hard to see the traffic due to people not stopping or seeing cars from Bettman on Greendale parked right in the corner. And I mean, that is almost every day I see a car in the corner. Since this is the only stop sign on Greendale, I would like to see those corners painted red, and that would take care of that problem. I'm referring to the Daylight Law AB 413. Thank you.
City Manager Reynolds, can we make sure we connect staff with Maud?
Yes.
I'm looking at Matt Rubel and Eugene Kim over there. We have been able to put some red curbs along that area of Westboro, so I'll ask staff to reach out to you and connect with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Annie Lowe.
I have not been coming to the city council meeting since November 13, 2024. So my comments today are based on the comments made by some of the council members during that meeting. So Mr. Nogales congratulated Mr. Coleman on his super majority for getting 66% of the votes. Mr. Coleman commented that he's proud to receive so much incredible support from a super majority of District 4 voters in South City, and that Mr. Nogales was elected by a large margin. I've been raised by my parents to be humble and gracious rather than bragging and conceited about your own victory. And your opponents, in my opinion, are definitely more experienced, knowledgeable, and capable to solve our city's $11 million deficit than you, but just did not have access to the publicity at various taxpayer-funded events and donors and unions backing both of you. Mr. Nogales congratulated his wife, Amy Lamb, for getting 100% of the votes to become a school board member up on Westboro. And Mr. Coleman also chimed in that we elected Amy Lamb on our school board. As of 5 p.m. on August 9, 2024, the last day for candidates to submit nomination documents to the county election office, there was no candidate for South San Francisco Unified School District Governing Board Trustees Area B seat. The filing period for that office was therefore extended for 5 calendar days until 5 p.m. on August 14, 2024, which is probably when Ms. Lamb submitted her candidate statements. So since there was nobody running for that office, Ms. Lamb automatically got the office. So I want to correct your misleading comments, since Ms. Lamb was simply lucky that no one ran against her. Mr. Adiego commented that he thinks we have the better new business tax formula that is more equitable and drops another $2.6 million into the general fund, and the budget imbalance is down to $5 million. Mr. Coleman commented that people are still struggling with the rising cost of living, rent, and housing. I question how equitable is the new business tax, but I can tell you by charging people who are just renting out a part of their home or only have a property or two to rent out to help feed the family, you're making it even more inequitable to not only those people, but also their tenants. Small landlords who now need to pay more to rent out the property in South City will need to raise their rent, and so the cost is being passed on to the tenants. So if you're trying to help people struggling with rising costs, please balance our city budget by cutting unnecessary expenditures rather than imposing a fee or tax to discourage businesses from investing in South City, or approving a 40% raise to your pay last May when all city departments were asked to cut 5% of their expenses. Mr. Coleman claimed that he had knocked on over 2,500 doors and had over 3,000 unique conversations in District 4. He also commented it is imperative that South City remains a beacon of hope for LGBTQ siblings, women, immigrant families, and that he looks forward to working together. So, Mr. Coleman, I look forward to working with you, and I hope you will live up to your words. And we have over 700 South City Coalition members here, and we support opening the MSB, so please listen to us. Thank you.
Okay, just confirming if there's any more public comment, as we're having sync issues with the iPad back there, that room.
Just to let you know, I did sign in, but your computer is down. Dear City Council, thank you for allowing me to speak, and thanks, Coleman, for removing your free speech, blocking free speech. Thank you for giving us back the 3 minutes. Constitution says we can, so does California. MSB, put a tax 1977-78. I can read out the council people that put the tax on the MSB. 20 years, every taxable parcel in South San Francisco got a tax for the MSB. So when the City Hall starts shouting from every hilltop, we have no money to fix the MSB, that's not right. Or else County Records is wrong, because we've been paying a tax. Can you imagine buildings worth millions of dollars, the amount of tax we pay on every $100 of tax? So the mistruths need to stop. Okay, moving on to the disheveled District 5. I live in District 5 for over 35 years. It's going downhill fast. So here we have an underpass from airport to South Airport. Over a month ago, I took this picture. The poop and the pee is piled up so high on the sidewalk that our tourists, office workers, do not hit the downtown because they can't get by. When are we going to take care of that? What's our Public Works Department doing? Second picture. The drug and alcohol problem and the homeless in the downtown, they need help. Look at this store, 1 o'clock in the day. People sleeping and pooping outside the store. Do you think that these store owners appreciate that? We're paying Life Moves for what? Irish Greens Park in our downtown. It's a disaster. It's been a disaster for years. I've come here before you. The trash, the blight. We had somebody murdered there a couple of years ago. Do we not remember that? Blight and trash, bushes. The trails. Martin Nogales, when you were mayor, you had $20 million. Where are you spending it? Where's our taxes going? MSP, where's our taxes going? The boats, 4 years ago, myself and residents had a meeting out there at city staff. We got no money. Where's the money? We got $20 million plus in a slush bank, remember, Mark? Water fountain, 3 years, multiple water fountains leaking. California's short of water. We got rain now, we won't have it forever. These boats been tagged for over 4 years. We got no money. They're pumping the sewer overboard outside our hotels and our biotechs. They put revenue in our pockets for paving the roads. The roads are a disaster out there. What are the 5 of you doing? Item number 14, Mark Nogales, you have a conflict. You need to leave the council chambers when we speak about BART. So just reminding you, because sometimes council forget what conflicts of interest is. Brown Act says the appearance.
Thank you for your comment.
Oh, may I please have your name for the record, sir? Your name for the record, sir?
I don't have to give it, but I will.
He doesn't have to.
Tom Carney, District 5, over 35 years.
Thank you.
Please take care of our downtown.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if we're done with public comment, could I add a little something for context to some of the remarks?
Please, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Lowe, I wanted to point out that while the business license tax for rentals, for residential rentals, is a new tax, it is $50 per unit per year. The average rent in South San Francisco has to be beyond $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year. And I think that the $50 tax is something that many landlords would absorb in the course of their doing business. It's also something that they can write off. Tom Carney, I usually enjoy what you point out to us because it can be helpful, but we do need a little context because some of your comments are unfair. And we could do a better job with the Bay Trail, but we won't be doing it with South San Francisco dollars because the Bay Trail is the responsibility of the adjoining property owners. And I do agree with you that we could do a better job with that. And I think we're going to have to put some effort into that. And again, a lot of these, oddly enough, a lot of these projects have had to gone through the BCDC process to be permitted, and they may have some control over the condition of these trails. So I'll work with the staff at the state level, and I'll ask for some help from maybe our assistant city manager, Rich Lee, because he has been the mastermind behind the mooring ordinance. And these boats have been a problem for 4 years, but they haven't been identified and marked for 4 years, Tom. It's taken much too long to get the mooring ordinance in place, almost a couple of years. We thought we were going to be pulling boats out on March the 31st. I had a conversation recently with the assistant city manager, and he assures me that the firm that we are contracting with to pull those boats out will have another week, and after that, we'll go on to a different firm. So we are intent on cleaning up that waterway, and we are repulsed by the fact that many of these are boats that have been left. No one is inhabiting them. But I, too, am repulsed with the activities that are going on in our waterway, and I don't support the liveaboards that are out in the open waters of South San Francisco. So just wanted to correct a couple of little items.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. Madam City Manager, I also would like for you to inform the public once again when our special City Council meeting study session will be happening.
The study session on the Municipal Services Building is April 29th at 6:30 here in this building.
Great, thank you. And just want to remind folks that the work continues. We're not sitting in our hands since last November. There's many initiatives, programs, including our PBID, Business Improvement District in downtown, our Anti-Displacement Coalition, our Special Study Council meeting on unhoused and homelessness. The work has continued. We are tackling this on head on. Also, just as a little commercial, April 29th will also be the Mock City Council from 3 to 5 p.m. So come for the Mock City Council, stay for the MSB special study session. Great. Moving on to next agenda item, please.
Next agenda item, we're moving on to the consent calendar. Item number 4 is a motion to approve the minutes of March 26, 2025 and April 1st, 2025. Item 5 is a motion to cancel the regular City Council meeting of April 23rd, 2025. Item number 6 is a report regarding a resolution accepting a grant of $20,000 from Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund to develop a financial empowerment center plan, authorizing the city manager to execute a memorandum of understanding and approving budget amendment number 25.048. Item 6A is the resolution. Next, we have agenda item number 7, report regarding a resolution authorizing an agreement between the San Mateo County Library and the South San Francisco Public Library to provide staffing for the Big Lift Inspiring Summers 2025 free summer program in South San Francisco and approving budget amendment number 25.047, accepting up to $18,000 in reimbursement funding. Item 7A is the resolution. Item number 8 is a report regarding a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with the San Mateo County Office of Labor Standards Enforcement for enforcement of the City of South San Francisco's minimum wage ordinance. Item 8A is the resolution. Item number 9, report regarding a resolution approving the 2024 military equipment annual report for the South San Francisco Police Department in compliance with Assembly Bill 481. Item 9A is the resolution. Item number 10 is a report regarding resolutions authorizing the award of a contract to Hinderlitter D. Lamas and Associates for providing business license, commercial parking, transient occupancy tax, and sales tax services, and authorizing examination of sales and use of tax records from the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration by city staff and Hinderlitter de Lamas and Associates. Item 10A is the resolution, and item 10B is the resolution.
Great, thank you. Are any items, any members wanting to pull from consent agenda?
I'd like to pull items 6 and 8 and 10.
6, 8, and 10. Any others? All right, let's start from number 6, please.
So we've accepted a grant with the purpose of looking at the viability of putting together a financial empowerment center. Is that where we're at tonight?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And you mentioned a couple of nonprofits in the report that are both at the EAC. And this is basically financial literacy on some level, which is something that our library department has offered through Project Read. And at one point, I'm not certain currently, but at one point, the literacy component was very well attended and was just a natural transition from learning to read to learning how to manage your money. So I'd like to understand if we have an opportunity as we grow this program, if it's something that might be possible to do within the library department budget.
Is it on? Yeah. Michael Gus, Economic Development Specialist. This was a planning process, and as part of the plan, we can identify services and potential service providers, which can include both nonprofits and city agencies, so yes.
Okay. No, well, that's wonderful. I can be in complete support of this item tonight now, so thank you for sharing that with me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Item number 8.
So this is a contract with the County of San Mateo?
Correct.
And it has to do with wage theft, being able to enforce it?
Primarily enforcement of the city's minimum wage ordinance.
And so what have we done so far to, because we've had that in place for a while, right? It's $17 and how many cents?
$17.70 per hour.
Right. So, the remarkable thing is we were pretty aggressive when we put together that minimum wage. But if you talk to people that are in the service industry, many of them are making over that amount of money because that's just the nature of the economy right now. However, I think the people that are most prone to be victimized are the ones that don't understand, don't have a strong standing in the community. And there was a wonderful feature piece in a recent Sunday Chronicle about a woman who was working, and I'm going to mention the company, they are franchisees, so it's not every unit, but she was working for Subway in San Francisco. And she worked, I think it was 6 days a week, 11 hours a day. She was the only woman in the sandwich shop. She was doing everything. And they were not only not paying her any overtime, they didn't share the tips that she was collecting. And if you read the story, you realize how difficult it was for her. She was new to the country, had limited English, and very definitely the employer was taking advantage of all of that. And I think it's great that we have this minimum wage. I'm not sure about the county enforcing. Tell me again who enforced it before San Mateo County.
It was the city of San Jose.
So we contracted with them for what period of time?
5 years ending June 30th of this year.
And what did we pay them per year?
$15,000 per year.
And how many people did they help us with?
2.
2?
Yes.
2 people had complaints. And how were they resolved?
One was resolved, I believe, and the second one was very recent, within the last 4 weeks.
And another part of this story that I read, Mr. Lee, is that when you win in the state system, it can take you an inordinate amount of time to get squared up for the wages that were stolen. So I am not a fan of doing business with the County of San Mateo. Over the years, I think I just feel like we've been burned too many times. And I'm wondering if this is $20,000 annually?
Correct.
And the contract will be for how many years?
So the initial term is 1 year. There's an option for 2 two-year extensions.
Okay. Did we look at the possibility of doing this in-house with maybe the city attorney's office?
We have not had that conversation.
I'd like to have that conversation before we sign this contract, because I think that if an employer received a letter from the city attorney, it would put it at a whole different level. And look, sometimes we were sincere when we put together the minimum wage ordinance. We thought that was the right number. But bad things are still happening in the community, and I think that by just signing a contract with, okay, San Mateo County, you take care of the complaints, but there's no mechanism to really get complaints from the community and get them funneled to the county, it becomes window dressing in this game. We've done our part, but it's had no impact on what might be happening in the community. So no, there are more than 2 people in 5 years being victimized for wage theft and other inappropriate things in the workplace. So I want this to be real, or I don't want to be part of it. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I can support that as well. I believe that this had come up in a previous conversation, and you had brought up previously the alternative of potentially soliciting in-house in our city attorney. So I could support that as well. Let's go to number 10, item number 10, and then we'll figure out what we do with it.
So, Mr. Henry, I'm going to be easier on you because
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't have the same passion for this item. But I do want to understand the process where we had, so we're looking for somebody to audit the taxes that we have coming in. So it would be for hotel tax and sales tax and business license tax and the commercial parking tax.
That's one
Correct?
component, yes, sir.
And we had also hoped that there would be some review of the property tax.
We included the property tax as part of the RFP process, and neither vendor who bid for the others included property tax, as it's a different specialized area. We have gone to a separate contract for property tax, and so we're getting that service from a different vendor than through this process.
Okay. And so this is a contract for how many years?
So it's 3 years with 2 one-year extensions at the city's determination.
Total of 5 years?
Yes, sir.
And it's at least $150,000 annually, but it could be more depending on the workload?
Yeah, so one component of it is that we basically play on a per business rate, and hopefully through the discovery process, which would be a component that would follow along after we begin the administration process, we may grow the number of businesses that are participating in the tax, which could increase the cost because we'd have more businesses paying.
So is this the best way to go, to have one firm take care of all these 4 because they all relate to the different businesses in town, or is it something that could have been split up and given different activities to different firms?
So there's not that many, I mean, again, there were only 2 bidders, and so it's not like there's a great wealth of firms we could have spread it to. Also for the businesses, this allows a single portal through which they can pay all of the taxes all at one time, so that they're not having to keep track of multiple different places where they need to manage their taxes. And so plus it helps for the city, you have one number to call for whatever your package of taxes that you happen to be paying as well.
Okay. And they're also going to be charged with identifying new businesses in town that are flying under the radar, not having a license tax, and maybe?
That's correct.
And how will they do that?
So, and we actually have 2 of the members from HDL available, and I think that they probably could best answer, the discussion. We will come back before we begin the discovery process to go over greater detail and plan with the council on how you'd like to do that process. But generally for the business license tax, that we would follow the discovery process, and I'll let either Bobby from HDL answer that question.
And I just want to I'd just like to make one more statement so people understand. This $150,000 is not a lot of money when you look at what's at stake. It's tens of millions of dollars that we're trying to be certain are being paid correctly.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, Mr. Young. Mr. Davis, if you could please answer Mr. Vice Mayor's question, please. And if you could introduce yourself and state your name, please.
Sure, absolutely. Let me go ahead and start. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, staff, and the community. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce ourselves to you tonight, and to do so remotely. I really appreciate that. Specifically, so I'm Bobby Young, Client Services Director for under HDL Sales Tax here in California. I'm also joined by Josh Davis, who is our TFA Operations Practice Leader. Specifically related to the Vice Mayor's question, I think Josh Davis would be the best to answer with regards to discovery.
Yes, thank you, Bobby, and happy to do so. The base, one of the functions that we're certainly performing is the identification of the businesses that are operating in the city that have not registered, are not paying their tax, potentially haven't gone through the zoning inspections and the things that are necessary for the city to do. We identify all those people through a variety of sort of electronic and physical means. So we do have some amount of physical inspection that goes, but primarily we're using a lot of data analytics, information from the state, information from the county, and from public and private databases to look at business activity that's occurring in the city, and then compare that to the tax registries and look for the gaps. So the people that are, for example, have registered with the Secretary of State and formed their corporation and or paying revenues, say, in sales tax, but aren't paying the business tax, would be kind of examples of how that process would work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, let's go back to item number 8. I want to poll my colleagues. Is there any other member besides myself and the vice mayor who would like to revisit item 8 in terms of taking it off consent agenda and having staff relook at this?
I agree with you.
I also agree.
I agree.
Great, excellent. So, Mr. City Attorney, is it good if we proceed with a motion without item number 8?
Yeah, I just suggest that the motion be to approve the consent calendar without item 8 and to table item 8.
I am making the motion to approve the consent calendar except number 8.
I'll second that.
Great, there's a first and a second. Can I have roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Diego,
Yes.
Councilmember Nogales,
Yes.
Councilmember Coleman,
Yes.
Mayor Flores,
Yes.
Councilmember Nicholas.
Aye.
Motion moves.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next agenda item.
Moving on to administrative business, we've got item number 11, which is a report regarding resolution to approve on-call consulting service agreements with 30 selected consultants for an on-call municipal engineering services in the amount not to exceed $3 million for each firm over a 3-year term for the City of South San Francisco's Capital Improvement Program. Item 11A is the resolution.
Great, thank you. Welcome, Ms. Hosfeld.
Hi. There it is. Good evening, Mayor Eddy, Vice Mayor Diego, council members. I'm Adriana Hosfeld, your senior civil engineer. Tonight, I'll be presenting on the on-call municipal engineering services. Here's the agenda for my presentation. There we go. I'll begin by providing background and purpose of on-call services at South City, and then move into the RFQ and firm selection process, review the requested contract authority, and then wrap up with city staff recommendation. Let's begin with the on-call overview. An on-call is a pre-selected list of qualified firms that are available to provide services on an as-needed basis. Instead of issuing a new request for proposal for each project, staff can select from these pre-approved and qualified firms. This approach has proven essential in managing the increasing number, scale, and complexity of city projects while ensuring timely completion within our approved budgets. This is the 4th time that the on-call municipal engineering services has been resolicited through an RFQ process. On November 8th, 2017, City Council initially approved on-call municipal engineering services with a contract authority of $1.7 million per firm. It was reapproved on July 24th, 2019, with the contract limit increased to $4.5 million per firm. The most recent approval occurred on June 8th, 2022, maintaining the $4.5 million per firm limit. Thanks to City Council's continued support and authorization of the on-call municipal engineering services, the city has successfully delivered key infrastructure improvements that have enhanced mobility, sustainability, and public safety. The Bikes to Boulevard initiative benefited from the program, with on-call consultants providing critical transportation, planning, and analysis. The pavement management program has relied on on-call services, with consultants leading design efforts and overseeing construction management for multiple surface seal projects that extend the life of our streets. Additionally, the Orange Memorial Park Stormwater Capture Project, a major environmental initiative, was successfully implemented with on-call consultants providing construction management support. These successes highlight the impact of authorizing on-call services, ensuring the city can efficiently deliver high-quality projects and serve the community. Here we have a pie chart of the project types with the current CIP project list. The adopted fiscal year 24-25 CIP includes 186 projects with a total value of $175 million. Continuing the current model of engaging consultants for comprehensive project delivery is crucial for the efficient execution of the 186 council-approved CIP projects. This approach allows city staff to effectively manage and direct projects while leveraging the enhanced coordination and accountability of a consultant team. Without an on-call consultant support, the volume of work would delay CIP projects as it exceeds the capacity of existing staff. The alternative would be to process individual RFPs for each project service. This would create delays and increase coordination burdens without any cost or time benefit. Now let's move on to the RFQ and selection process. This is a list of general services the municipal services RFQ advertised. For a firm to be eligible, they had to have experience in at least one of these services. This is the evaluation criteria the evaluators used to rate all the consultants that applied. All 4 of the criteria were weighted equally. Familiarity and understanding of the city was the first criteria. Local offices were considered in this category. Next was relevant experience. Has the consultant demonstrated the ability to successfully deliver projects that align with the general services? Does the consultant have experience in the city of South San Francisco or nearby agencies? For specific management approach and methodologies, has the consultant demonstrated a sound scoping process for potential projects and have the ability to meet aggressive schedules and track project progress and costs? Staffing qualifications were evaluated as well. Did the firm prove they had experienced staff in at least one of the general services? And here's a timeline of the RFQ and evaluation. On January 29th, the RFQ was advertised. Statement of qualification submittals were due on February 20th, and we got 46. SOQs were reviewed by 3 city staff by March 10th, and the top 30 firms were selected, which leads us to today, presenting to City Council. Next, let's move into the requested contract authority. So the consultants will work on an on-call basis as defined by the city on a project-by-project basis. So all work performed under these agreements will need to have an individual work order that will have a specifically defined scope, schedule, and budget. And this will be negotiated on a task-by-task basis. These costs would be charged against the various projects through their sources of funding or approved operational budgets. There's no city obligation to expend any funds under these agreements. The current municipal engineering services on-call contract authority is $4.5 million per firm. As the CIP budget amount varies year by year, city staff conducted an analysis on past on-call contract authority use to appropriately size the future on-call contract authority. City staff found that the average maximum use between the last 2 on-calls was $2.6 million. Based on this, it's recommended to lower the contract authority to $3 million per firm over the 3-year term. And this would end at the end of the 2028 fiscal year. So I want to be clear that there's no financial commitment associated with this requested contract authorization. If a work order is processed under an on-call, that means adequate funding has already been allocated within the respective CIP project or operational budget by either City Council or a City Manager authority. And lastly, the city staff recommendation. So city staff recommends that City Council adopt a resolution approving on-call consulting service agreements with 30 selected consultants for on-call municipal engineering services for the city of South San Francisco in an amount not to exceed $3 million for each firm over a 3-year term, and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreements on behalf of the city. And thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Adriana. Nice presentation. Any comments or questions from my colleagues?
Hi. I would like to find out, so you said that all of these contracts are charged to the project, right? So when they give you the initial amount for that whole project and there are delays, who shoulders that delay? Is it still charged to the project?
Which delays are you referring to?
So say, for example, a project is like, say, for example, 18 months.
Okay.
And then for whatever reason, it extends to 24 months.
Yeah.
So of course, that time, because it's time and materials, right? So you have to pay an additional for that 6 months delay. So who is obligated to pay? Is it still being charged for the project and we are off the hook for any financial responsibility?
So I would say that's probably pretty project specific. So like say if this was a consulting firm doing a design project and something happened on their behalf that caused this delay, it would be on the consultant. If it was a delay caused by the city, that might incur a change order cost, and that would be an additional cost for the city. So it's very project specific and circumstantial.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Any other questions or comments?
I do. Audrina, in the past, before, this started in 2017?
Correct.
In the past, there would be a particular project, and we would put out a request for bids on that project.
For proposals.
Thank you. And we might, receive 2 or 3, and again, that's because it's professional services, you don't have to go with the low bid.
Correct.
But you would have firms competing with each other. So tell me how this works differently than that.
So this is why I'm very excited. We got a lot of interest. So we're going to have 30 firms that are on-call, and multiple firms will be covering the same service area.
Okay.
So that will have some healthy competition in terms of quality of service, quality of the work that they submit.
So there will be competition between the firms given the different projects.
Correct.
That's very reassuring. Thank you.
Of course.
Anyone else?
I do have a question. So in your evaluation of all these firms, did you evaluate their employment practices?
Could you clarify?
Employment practices such as, their history, do they have any wage theft violations? Do they have any labor violations? Do they provide healthcare to the workers, have local hiring processes or preferences? Because I know, I know that our council has prioritized, a sort of pre-qualification language for when we do contract out, with our city. And I'm wondering, was this given consideration in this process?
As far as I know, it was not given consideration as part of the RFQ process. I don't know if maybe part of the contracting process later on, after this is approved by City Council, if that would be incorporated.
Those factors aren't a typical part of
Mike?
Thought the light had come on. Those factors aren't a typical part of the professional services contracting process. Usually these are firms that have hired highly skilled professionals. I'm not saying we could not introduce that as part of the process, but they're firms that typically provide health care. These are not hourly workers, they're salaried workers, so there shouldn't be wage theft type situations. It would be atypical for that kind of work for there to be wage theft issues. I think since it's not part of the typical process, I think it's an interesting issue, and if the council would like us to proceed, we could start designing the RFP process to ask the consultants to provide that kind of information as part of the firm background so that we could actually evaluate it. But right now we'd have to sort of start without asking them to proactively provide the information. We'd sort of have to start from scratch with building up that kind of information for each one. But it's certainly something we could start doing going forward.
But like you said, these are professionals, so therefore, usually they're salaried, and so wage theft is usually, they work more hours if they need to, because they're paid by salary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to rule out the possibility, but it would, as I say, it would be atypical. But these are usually the individuals providing the services are employees who are benefited, salaried, those kinds of issues. I should say the reason that those kinds of inquiries and a similar process to the one that you're referring to, Councilmember Coleman, haven't been built into this process is that these are atypical concerns in the professional services realm. So we haven't felt the need to use the same kind of process for these kinds of contracts, but it's something we could start doing if council felt that it was something that would be worthwhile in evaluating the firms that have submitted.
So wage theft is probably not a big concern because these are all six-figure plus people, and if they don't have health care, I'm sure they're being paid enough to buy their own health care. But how they do business, right? As far as maybe different kinds of discrimination that might be in a workplace, in a professional group. We know it can run rampant with professionals just as it does in any other, whether it's gender or sexuality or whatever. So if we discovered anything, I think we should be able to, if we're uncomfortable, we should be able to remove somebody from this list if we were to discover something. Do we have the ability to do that, to pull somebody off this list?
The first step would be we simply don't have any obligation to direct work to any of these firms.
Okay.
The way the on-call services contracts are set up is that none of them is actually guaranteed any work. We'll have a contract with them, they'll be available, but if we discovered something that we felt was indicated that they're a firm that don't reflect the city's values, first, we wouldn't have to direct any work to them. Second, most of the standard contracts have a termination provision where the city doesn't have to provide cause for the termination, it just can terminate the agreement. So we would probably proceed to do that.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Coleman, are you good with that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. In the future, we could start looking at that, but for now, if there are no other comments or questions, clerk, do I have any public comments?
Just confirming, because the iPad is down, is there anyone in the public who'd like to speak on item 11? Seeing there's nobody, there are no public comments for this item.
Okay. If there are no public comments, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
All right, so moved.
I'll second.
I have a first and a second. Can I have roll call, please?
Councilmember Coleman?
Yes.
Mayor Flores?
Yes.
Councilmember Nicholas?
Aye.
Councilmember Nogales?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Adiego?
Yes.
Motion moves. Next item.
Go ahead.
Next item is item number 12, which is a report regarding a resolution accepting the single audit report for fiscal year 2023 through 24.
Thank you. Welcome, Director Chang.
Item 12A is the resolution.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council members. Karen Chang, Finance Director. So tonight, in front of you is a report for you to accept the single audit report for fiscal year 2023-24. And so due to the federal regulations, so we have to bring the report, do a single audit. And I have with me our auditor, Mace and Associate, and Amy Mayer is with me, and she's going to walk you through what have been done for the single audit this year.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. So I've got a short presentation here for you. So the single audit is an audit of the city's federal award programs. So those are federal grants that you receive. And all of the funding, it's required when the city expends more than $750,000 in any one year, which is very common for the city your size because it accumulates all of the grants into one report. So that threshold is all of the grants in 1 year in total. And so each federal granting agency outlines specific items that they feel are important that need to be audited by the external auditors. And there's one overall audit rather than individual audits by each granting agency. That's why it's called, where the title came from, single audit each year. Now, it doesn't mean that we audit every program. There are guidelines and rules and regulations that we have to follow in a mathematical calculation that tells us which programs rise to the top to be what's called a major program each year. So the overall objective of the single audit, whichever programs that we are required to test for the particular year, were expenditures made in accordance with the grant limitations and the federal funding rules, was reporting accurate and timely, were procurement standards followed, and were subrecipients monitored for the same. Those are kind of the general rules. There are others as well, but those are the big ones that rise to the top of the requirements. So during fiscal 24, the city expended $7.748 million across 13 programs, and you can find that in the single audit report on the Schedule of Expenditures of Federal Awards, or SEFA. As auditors, we love lots of acronyms, and that's on pages 5 and 6 of the report. So the two major programs this year were the Highway Planning and Construction Program, 20.205, and the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, which is your ARPA funding, but that's the long title for the ARPA funding, the 21.027. And so the expenditures in those programs, again, we say subject to testing. We're required to pick transactions and test them. But those two programs in total represented approximately 81% of the CFA, because there is a coverage requirement that we have to, again, mathematical calculations that tell us which programs, and then some other requirements as well that require a percentage threshold of testing. But with those two, it covered what we needed to do for this year. So in the results that you can find in the report, there were no current year, so there are two types of findings. There are financial statement findings and federal award compliance findings. And it can get a little confusing because they're combined in this report. So there were no federal award compliance findings. So in our testing of those two major programs here, we didn't have any exceptions in our testing. There were no findings or exceptions from that testing. But you'll see in the report that there is one financial statement finding, because the preparation of the CFA that is part of that report is considered a financial statement. And so any errors or issues with the preparation of that is considered a financial statement finding. I know it can get a little confusing. And so we did have that finding in the report because there were errors in the preparation as we tested it, because we test the dollar amounts that are reported on the CFA. So included in your packet is the corrective action plan by finance staff for the plan for remedying that finding. And then also as part of the packet, you have the summary schedule of prior audit findings. So the current status of any prior findings from the prior single audits and any that weren't implemented in the past. There's only one from the prior years, which is related to the Community Development Block Grant Program and timely cash management. So it wasn't quite implemented in fiscal 24, so the expectation is that one will be brought into being considered implemented in fiscal 25. So also as part of the single audit report, you'll notice in the back there are two audit opinions, one that is internal control over financial reporting and compliance and other matters. That's the financial statement opinion, which that's why you'll see reference to, again, the finding on the CFA and the findings in the memorandum on internal control that was presented earlier this year. And then compliance over each major program. That's the second audit opinion in the back. And again, we had no findings in that opinion. So with that, I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Amy. Any questions or comments for Director Chang or for Amy?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any public comments on this item, clerk?
Any public comments for item 12? Seeing there are no public comments, there are no public comments for this item.
Thank you. If not, I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
I second.
I have a first and a second. Can I have a roll call, please?
Vice Mayor Adiego?
Yes.
Councilmember Nogales?
Yes.
Mayor Flores?
Yes.
Councilmember Nicholas?
Aye.
Councilmember Coleman?
Yes.
Motion moves. Next item will be item number 13, presentation regarding City Council fiscal year 2025 to 2026 action plan.
Good evening again, Mayor Addy, Vice Mayor Adiego, members of council, Rich Lee, your Assistant City Manager. The item before you this evening is a follow-up to the retreat that you had on February 8th. This is the development of the fiscal year 25-26 action plan. If I could get the slide deck up, I can get started. So included in the report was the deliverable from our facilitator, as well as the initiatives and activities that staff has developed for council consideration to deliver all of the key strategies and at a higher level, the major focus areas for the council's action plan. So, there we go. So the council may recall during the interviews that the facilitator held with you each one-on-one, these were kind of the major themes or the major focus areas that came through from your interviews. I'm not going to read all of them, but those are the commonalities that came out. And during the retreat, as a part of the consensus process of the five, four of them had key strategies that received at least a consensus from council. So those are the activities and initiatives that we're going to be going over today, and I'll try to go through these somewhat efficiently because there's a number of slides. So first, starting with, actually, let me orient you with each slide. The layout is going to be the major focus area at the top, combined with the key strategy, and then the activity or initiative in the center there, and an indication of who the lead department will be, an estimated time frame if available, and then any additional resources, if any. So first, we have the housing and supportive services major focus area. And under creative financing strategies, staff recommends that we evaluate housing bonds, public-private partnership, middle income tax-exempt financing. Of course, that is led by our Economic and Community Development Department. They believe they can deliver that by Q1 of calendar year 2026 without any additional resources. And as I go through these, if you do have questions, please let me know. The department heads are available to answer questions, follow-up ones that you may have. Also, under the creative financing strategies is to deploy grant funds already secured. And since in government we love acronyms, IIG, that is the Infill Infrastructure Grant Program, PIP, which is the Pro Housing Incentive Program, LTHF, which is the Local Housing Trust Fund, and PLHA, which is the Permanent Local Housing Allocation. And of course, led by ECD, that's going to take several years, but with no additional resources. Under the same major focus area, different key strategy of balanced housing supply. Under ownership, issue an RFP for 905 Linden for a for-sale affordable developer, again, led by ECD, in Q3 of this year with no additional resources. Under the same umbrella of that key strategy for rental properties, pursuing an AHSC grant, which is the Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Round 9 application with Bridge Housing for 1051 Mission Road. And that will be just next month for ECD with no additional resources. Under the same umbrella for ownership, a zoning text amendment to allow accessory dwelling units to be sold separately from primary dwelling units. And that ACD believes they can deliver that by Q3 of this year with no additional resources.
Could you do a quick question? Isn't there a state bill that has already allowed that, or?
Nell Sealander, Economic and Community Development Director. Yes, the state allows it. We have to enable it. So council actually does have to take an action to allow it here. The state just set it up as a thing we can now do.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Nell. Moving on to the next item, under the same key strategy for ownership, and this is an ongoing effort, and for some of these activities and initiatives, they will be ongoing efforts that we're actually already doing, but it's within the context of this action plan. So continue to ensure affordability and supply of below market rate units by city acquisition and prevent these units from entering the regular market. And that is through the use and appropriation of the commercial linkage fees. So moving on to the major focus area of quality of life. First, a key strategy, which is support a sustainable retail environment. The council is well aware of the park development on Linden Avenue that is led by our capital projects division. That's going to take about 2 more years, and the operations and maintenance costs, that is to be determined. But we believe that that will become more certain for fiscal year 26-27. Also under the same key strategy is expansion of CBER services. This is largely led by our Parks and Recreation Department. This is an ongoing effort and to be determined on the additional resources. Similarly for women's services, Park and Rec is leading that effort, but we can do that with no additional resources. Continue to support and preserve existing commercial tenants at city-owned properties. That is, of course, led by our ECD department. That is an ongoing effort with no additional resources. Complete the zoning study to look at retail supportive and friendly regulations along El Camino Real. ECD believes they can deliver that by the first quarter of next calendar year for about $30,000. And continuing to support and incentivize mixed-use development through zoning. That is an ongoing effort for no additional resources. Supporting pop-ups and micro-businesses through zoning, again, of course, led by ECD, an ongoing effort with no additional cost. Again, under the key strategy of supporting a sustainable retail environment, continuing to pursue the Property-Based Improvement District, the PBID. ECD is leading that effort. We believe that will be coming to council in Q1 of next calendar year for no additional resources.
So Rich, when you say support a sustainable retail environment, that's essentially supporting our downtown businesses in District 5, is that right?
I mean, that's the focus. There are other economic areas like El Camino Real that also provide the business community. But yes, the large concentration in downtown.
The PBID, the quality of life, the small. What I'm making an emphasis for individuals that have been gone and haven't been attending council meetings for the larger part of this year, and that come in and say this council is not focused on downtown District 5. Let's pay attention to this presentation. Go on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Within these, continuing with the key strategy of supporting sustainable retail environment, council may recall just a few council meetings ago, Katie from ECD presenting the Launch Local program. So that is ECD, of course, and presenting that in Q2 of this year for no additional resources beyond what's already been approved by council. Completing a visioning study and community engagements for future multimodal improvements along to El Camino Real, Q2 of 2026, and no additional costs. Rolling out a shop local resource for the city procurement and business to business or B2B purchases, Q3 of this year, no additional costs. Moving along to modern and sustainable organization, major focus area under the key strategy of ensuring financial sustainability. This effort is largely going to be led by our Public Works Department to implement a utility cut and heavy vehicles fee currently under development. That should be a little bit later this year for no additional resources. Also under the same umbrella, evaluating vacant city properties, which we've heard multiple times tonight. Park and Rec is largely leading this effort along with economic and community development. Just to reinforce the special study session on April 29th, held right here. And for no additional costs, Councilmember Nogales, do you have a question?
I just finish your thought and
Please go ahead.
So we're talking about vacant property. I appreciate that. You know, one of the things that we've kind of been kicking around and my colleagues have really brought up and I appreciate is home ownership. And the problem that I see a lot in terms of home ownership is the cost of trying to buy a house. It's unattainable for a lot of families right now. But if we own the property, then we have a bigger stake in kind of controlling the cost. And I would love to see a little bit more of us doing that, looking at the properties that we own, that potentially we can develop single family homes. Like the property I keep thinking of is up in Westboro, and I'm thinking, what am I thinking of? The Fox Ridge sites. Like you can't really build like condominiums there, but you could potentially build a single family home. And we're just kind of holding the property right now. It's like open space, which is great. But I also look at the opportunities for home ownership. For a person like myself, who had to go through a first-time homebuyer's loan to be able to buy a house, you know. But at the same time, these first-time homebuyer loans can only go so high. They're not going to go up to the $1.2, $1.5 million. So I think if we're going to look at building more homes, and I agree with my colleagues, that home ownership is important, and we should concentrate on that we should start looking at these vacant properties and see if this is something we can do.
Okay, I appreciate the feedback. Okay, also under the umbrella of ensuring financial sustainability, first exploring revenue enhancement options with the support of a consultant. I'm happy to report that we have completed the RFP process just earlier this week. We are going to be administratively entering into an agreement with a couple of firms to provide this service to the city, not for $50,000, for about a little less than $20,000. That will feed into the biannual community survey, which we expect to conduct fieldwork in mid-July and present the results to council in early August. And that will be just under $60,000. The Enterprise Resource Planning System, or ERP, that is quite the endeavor led by our IT, finance, and HR departments. That's going to be at least a 2-year endeavor, and cost is TBD. Our IT director will be presenting the contract for council consideration likely in the second meeting in May or perhaps the first meeting in June. Also under this umbrella, continuing to manage and enforce the short-term rentals or STR vacation rentals. That is led by our finance department and with enforcement of the TOT, as a part of the agreement that council awarded earlier this evening, that is going to be part of that scope. So there's no additional cost beyond that. And that's going to be an ongoing effort. Enforcing the cannabis permit renewals, that is our economic and community development. That is an ongoing effort at no additional cost. And enforcement, of course, of the business license ordinance, again, through the new contract with HDL, but led by our finance department as an ongoing effort. And working with our consultants to establish a TDM, or Transportation Demand Management Penalty structure, with our economic and community development in the lead as an ongoing effort for no cost. Moving on to the welcoming and connected community key area. First, under the engaged community volunteers key strategy, and Mayor Eddy has, you mentioned this previously, in exploring adding a senior commission. That's largely going to be led by the city manager's office. It's going to take a few months to kind of evaluate that. If we were to have a separate senior commission, with the current compensation that the city does provide for certain commission members, that would be $100 per meeting. So we anticipate about $6,000 per year plus staff time to support a senior commission. Also under the same umbrella, the Westboro Child Care expansion, that is led by our Park and Rec department. That's going to be a 2-year effort and to be determined on the additional operating costs. This next one is going to be completed very soon, which is completion of the age-friendly survey. It's been led by our Park and Rec department. We should, I believe, have the results presented next month. But in order to implement the recommendations, it's going to be TBD on the costs. And this is an ongoing effort with our ECD department, continuing to have our bicycle and pedestrian advisory committee members participate in the Safe Routes to Schools and other community programs. That is an ongoing effort, but no additional cost.
Just if I can jump in, we did, at yesterday's Safe Route to School, I forgot to mention, we did have a member of the BPAC with us. So.
Yes.
That's great.
And he walked there. The commissioners attending training sessions. No problem. The commissioners attending training sessions, providing presentations on, this is for our planning commission, providing presentations on planning, policy, regulations, and resources at planning commission meetings. That is an ongoing effort, no cost to the city. And then continuing to pursue grants to support community events, such as the night market, and partner with community groups to execute. That's largely led by ECD. That's an ongoing effort at no cost to the city. There's also the signature event, and in past years, we've had, with former Mayor Nicholas, we had the Women's Leadership Conference. With former Mayor Coleman, we had the Pride event. That's going to be led by our city manager's office, obviously to be determined on how long that will continue and at what cost. So with that, I'm happy to welcome any further follow-up questions from council.
Thank you, Rich. Any comments or additions or questions?
To the mayor.
Yeah.
Rich, thank you for the presentation. Again, I think it was a great meeting. One of the things that tends to happen, different priorities come up or different scenarios come up. And so I just want to make sure there's still some flexibility in terms of if something that we want to accomplish this year, that we have that ability to do so with staff.
Thank you. And I looked at the city manager to add in as well. Those were the items that I just presented were the items that gained consensus from council. Obviously, there were other key strategies and initiatives that were on that list. They just didn't get a consensus. So, could there be flexibility? Honestly, again, from my perspective, it just depends on capacity of staff, but I defer to Sharon.
Right, certainly there's some flexibility. We can't foresee everything that's going to come up this year, and so if we have the consensus of council on funding, we can absolutely have some flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, funding is going to be kind of the main point to this, right? If we have funding, we can probably move forward. Like yesterday, again, I'm just bringing up the safer routes. I mean, that's, in order to do the implementation of what we want to do, that's going to take money, obviously, right? But then now that has become a priority for me because of what I've seen firsthand over and over again. And the fact that there was a lot of enthusiasm from staff to get things done, I really want to see that forward. So that's a new priority for me. So I want to make sure if that is something I bring up, or any of my colleagues want to bring up in terms of their priorities, we can still kind of move forward with looking at long-term planning in a sense.
Right. The thing about Safe Routes to School is what we'll observe is we'll get a planning grant for an audit, and then that leads to another application for the implementation of a project. So Public Works has been just brilliant at this, and so I'm sure they're going to apply for Safe Routes to School funding, whatever those recommended projects are. And so grant funding is great because we can implement those projects, and I would anticipate that.
Yeah, I was using it as an example.
Yeah, usually it goes to the TA anyway, through the BPAC
Exactly.
and the CCAG, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that we, for my colleagues and myself, that there is flexibility, and it sounds like we can continue to do that. It's not so much rigid in the sense that this is what we have to do for the rest of the year. So.
But I think this
Any
is...
other- Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think this is great also for strategic planning. And so therefore, if we keep this in the dashboard and say, for example, we see a grant that will be able to support this, this will be great. So I think maybe we need another presentation, maybe in 3 months or so.
Yeah, update, yeah.
Happy to do it.
Just maybe not a 41 slide PowerPoint. And by the way, all department heads, he's the only one to be allowed to do a 41 slide PowerPoint.
Yeah. Maybe a shorter one. Maybe a dashboard, just kind of like.
Any other questions or comments for Rich?
Well, go ahead.
Sorry, Nell Sealander here. If you don't mind indulging me just a tiny bit, since ECD is leading on a number of these items, this is a really, really helpful exercise for staff, and I just wanted to say thank you for doing the strategy session. It's already yielded just so much good information and having some really focused key strategies where we know there is already council consensus. And so as opportunities arise for staff, we can say, oh, hey, that fits into this bucket. Let's pair it with this item and scooch it forward. So I had a meeting today where exactly something like that came up on the home ownership sort of ADU side. We're like, oh, this is a great opportunity. This is obviously of interest of council right now. Let's make sure it happens. So I hope we continue to do this. It's been really helpful already, just in the first couple months.
Thanks for the feedback, appreciate it. Councilmember Coleman, you were going to say something?
Yes, I think this is great, and it's very exciting to see all these things that are going on, but also there are things not on this list that are currently ongoing, like our anti-displacement roadmap, the the objective design standards that we're going to be updating for ornamentation standards and so on. And so there are a lot of other things going on, but I do want to second the comments from Councilmember Nogales about the increasing opportunities for home ownership. I'm not sure if single-family homes would have the biggest impact in terms of increasing our housing stock, but there are many ways where we can get multifamily units for sale that are affordable, that can also allow for families to build generational wealth and equity and plant their roots here in South City. And I know that there are models that exist in many other places where they have 99-year leases that simulate homeownership that have been very successful models. And I also like to ask the question, how can we encourage our developers who are building in South San Francisco to build condominiums for sale rather than just apartments for rent, and how we can get a more diverse housing stock there. So, thank you.
Thank you, noted. I believe that we continue to see the great impact in reaping the benefits from a productive council retreat. I'm really appreciative of this framework, Rich. Thank you for putting it together. Clerk, do I have any comments on this?
There are no public comments.
Great. This is only informational presentation. So thank you, Rich, again, and department heads for putting all this together. Let's move on to the next agenda item.
Item number 14, report regarding City of South San Francisco reimbursement to the County of San Mateo for the cost of installation of new fare gates at the South San Francisco BART station.
Okay, bring us home, Sharon.
Wait, hold on. Before we get started, I have to recuse myself as my employer is BART, and so I will have to say bye.
Thank you. Have a good evening, Councilmember Nogales. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll wait for you to exit the chambers.
Slow walk.
Oh, I believe for item 13, we didn't take a roll call vote.
It was presentation only.
No, it's okay. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, council members, Sharon Reynolds, the city manager. The item before you this evening is a recommendation from staff that council give us direction and authorize us to negotiate an MOU with the County of San Mateo. This would be for reimbursement to the county for any costs that are not covered by grant funding for the installation of 12 new fare gates at the South San Francisco BART station. So by way of background and discussion, recently, last week, on March 28th, the board approved, the San Mateo County Board of Supervisors approved for the county to provide bridge funding in the amount of a little over $10 million for the purchase and installation of new fare gates at all 5 of the BART stations. So the ones in San Mateo County, including South San Francisco, Millbrae, San Bruno, Daly City, and Colma. Part of the rationale here is that fare evaders are very problematic for the BART system in that they not only cost the BART system revenue in terms of fares, but folks who may be obviously not transit riders creating vandalism and other sorts of crime issues by hopping over the BART gate and then riding, coming back, hopping back over it. So these new gates, I think, will be beneficial to South San Francisco residents by enhancing public safety. So the BART, this is called the BART's Next Generation Fare Gate Project, is a system-wide replacement for the whole BART system in the Bay Area. The cost for that is about $90 million. And the reason that BART is looking for alternative funding for San Mateo County is we the County of San Mateo, don't contribute separately tax funds for this to support BART, where the other counties in the system do. The thing I should note here is that there is grant funding through the San Mateo County Transportation Agency for this purpose, and BART, one of the conditions for the county to pass their ordinance was that BART will apply for these grant funding. I can't say it's 100% certain because it's not, we don't know until the TA considers this, but there's a very high likelihood that we will get grant funding and that there will be no liability to the county or to the cities. But there's a timing issue in that BART needed to proceed with their contract in order to secure the low bid costs that they had for the installation of the fare gates, and we won't know about the grant until July or August. So this is where the county stepped in and said they would do this bridge funding if they had some assurance that in the unlikely event that we don't get the grant, the county was not able to shoulder the whole $90 million or the $10 million cost for San Mateo County. So last week when the Board of Supervisors passed this, there were some stipulations, and they did stipulate that yes, BART would agree to apply for the grant. That was contingent on all 5 cities signing an MOU with the county saying that they would work out a payment plan for reimbursement to the county. BART has also agreed to provide transit ambassadors alongside of the police, the BART police. So again, the financial impact on this proposal to the city could be 0, or it could be as much as our share is $1.5 million. And in the worst case scenario where the grant is not received, the county has agreed to stagger this funding over time. So it would not be one big lump sum, but we would work with them to spread it out over the number of years. So I also did just want to mention that by authorizing me to proceed with the MOU, we would come back to you with the actual MOU. We haven't seen the wording from the county yet. It's just that in good faith, I didn't want to represent to the county that I was negotiating this on the council's behalf unless there had been some discussion and council, a majority of council agrees that this is a reasonable course of action. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Sharon. So this is a report sharing as well as giving you direction as well.
Correct.
Any questions for Sharon from my colleagues?
So,
comments, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, Sharon, can you help me? Which are the 5 cities that are involved in this?
It's Daly City, Colma, South San Francisco, Millbrae, and San Bruno.
Okay. And those are the cities that are on the BART line?
Correct. Here in San Mateo County.
Certainly not the only cities that utilize BART. I mean, if I lived in Burlingame, I might go to the Millbrae station. Maybe even if I was in San Mateo, a Pacifica resident could easily get to our station by coming down Westboro Boulevard. So how did it land? You didn't have any discussion with this county manager about that?
We did have the group of city managers did meet with County Executive Mike Callaghy and raised many of these same issues. But again, since these other cities none of the cities are paying taxes into the system, it's difficult for the county. They're not a transportation agency. This is their response. We are not a transportation agency. We don't have specific funding. We don't collect taxes for that purpose. And their argument is that the bulk of the benefit will come to the cities that are the host cities.
So again, I certainly understand why, not having fare evaders is a big plus for the system, and obviously they need every dollar they can get. But again, how is it a benefit to South San Francisco residents? You said something about public safety?
Well, I think there's a couple of arguments. BART is a huge part of the economic vitality of South San Francisco. I think it's great for all of our employers, for our residents, so we need it to be successful. And they think that these new fare gates will increase revenue so far in the stations that have it by about 17%. So it's partly our contribution to making BART successful, because if it fails, it would be really not a good thing for South San Francisco. And for our employers, our residents, our visitors.
So you honestly think our $1.5 million is going to prevent it from failing? I have some questions about public safety, and if that's the chief at the back of the hall, or actually Captain Plank, I'm sorry.
Captain Plank.
It's dark out there. It's hard to recognize anybody, but I saw the gold badge. Can you tell me problems that you've had over the years at the BART station with fare evaders? How is that a South City problem?
Vandalism and crime.
Yeah. Thank you, Captain Plank with the police department. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of fare evasion, but I do know that during our contacts with people who have ridden public transportation like BART and maybe from other cities have come here and committed crime at our local businesses, thefts, primarily thefts at our grocery stores and markets, and then ride BART or other transportation methods back to the cities where they came from. Oftentimes, it's a quick fleeing from the store and back onto the train and out of our city prior to being identified or contacted by the police.
I read your reports, and I have seen where you actually find people right at the station there, I guess, trying to get out of town. So you think that if they have to pay for their BART ticket, they won't come here to do crime?
It would. I think it may make it more difficult. Yes.
I'm not sure of that.
Well, I think, when it comes to safety, like in the perspective of Millbrae, right? A lot of individuals who are homeless, they will hop the stiles, they will spend their day on a BART train, and then they get to the end of the line, and it's 1 a.m., right, or midnight, or whenever, and that's where they're left, right? And I think when it comes to public safety, that's talking to our colleagues in Millbrae, that's kind of where their concern is.
So, Councilman, I did have a pretty spirited conversation with Anders Fung from Millbrae about this subject, and I committed to initially supporting this, but I really do need to see the MOU, and I'm not 100% on board. So anyway, I'll make it easy on all of you. Tonight, I'm okay. We'll see what the MOU looks like.
Great. I just wanted to allude that aside from safety, I think it's also a relationship starter with BART. Many of perhaps us and many other cities always had that fear with BART, right? Whether it's a development, whether it's an easement, whether it's public safety, the relationship hasn't been as strong. And what I like to highlight is this is an opportunity to reestablish that relationship and open up what could be a better South San Francisco BART station. Better lighting, which also helps and aids public safety. Better opportunities to what we said. We just heard a presentation, quality of life, by potentially having maybe a night market or opportunities for a farmer's market or a pop-up vendor market. If you go to Montgomery BART station or Powell BART station, there's small pop-ups up there. In San Mateo County, BART does not allow that in any of their stations. That's a third leveraging point. And of course, then for me, fourth would be the fare gates and the novelty of being brand new gates and not being the one station in the whole system that doesn't have those gates. But to me, it's the larger big picture of reestablishing the relationship, right? Seeing BART PD taking a little bit more responsibility than what our PD has to be doing, and activating that space. I think these are all leveraging points that we have to get them to agree. It's not, can you, would you consider? Let's start a conversation. It's, we need this from you, BART, because we're vested and you need to show us that you're vested in this as well. That's where I'm leaning. I'm looking at the future of what we could do, how else this will be transformed. Honestly, Mark and James could tell you, walking down that tunnel just rubbed me the wrong way for Caltrain, right? I don't want that kind of scenario or example to also be happening around the parking lots or the infrastructure around our South San Francisco BART station. So that's what I'm looking at. Definitely we would unpack and dive into the language a little bit more clearer when the MOU does come before us.
I just wanted to say, I think that would be something great to strive for, so I'm totally with you. At the same time, I think we all know of Gina Pappin's efforts as a member of MTC to bring some of these asks to BART, and basically they shut the door. So I'm with you, Eddie, but they really haven't shown us much to date.
I think there's more opportunity in the next couple of years, since there are actors all across the Bay Area looking for a more regional solution to public transit. And this is really a good gesture, right? And letting them know that we do want to play ball, we want to be at the table, and we do want to be part of the solution when it comes to saving BART and other transit agencies from the fiscal cliff. So I think, I'm worried about putting our $30 on the line, but I do know that BART, that the language that the Board of Supervisors passed, I believe last week, did say that BART must apply to this SMCTA for 100% of the grant. And based on my conversations with various SMCTA members, there is support for if that was the staff recommendation. So I feel a little more at ease moving forward with this.
Like Councilmember Diego, I had reservations about this in the beginning because I don't want to spend 1.5 million of our money for this. However, because I realize we need the BART too, because we're a four-mode of transportation city, and that it's also for sustainability. And again, I think although we have been burned before, and hopefully this will be a start of a new relationship and maybe a reset But then again, the MOU is very important for us. So what we're giving Sharon Wright today is just a authority to do this, but the MOU has to go through us.
Absolutely, we would come back to you with, and I'm not clear whether each city, how much each city's MOUs may differ, or how much discretion we'll have to negotiate just ours, but we'll dig into all of that. But again, I didn't want to be doing that without the council being fully aware of what the parameters are.
Thank you, Sharon, for your transparency and bringing it forward. Clerk, do I have any comments on this? No public comments?
Mr. Mayor, there appears to be a technical issue with the clerk's microphone, but there are no public comments.
Great, thank you. So this is, Sharon, you have direction, yes?
I did ask for a motion, actually, that this be.
What's that?
If it could be approved by motion, that would be great.
So moved.
I second.
Okay, first and second, can I have roll call, please?
Councilmember Nicholas?
Aye.
Vice Chair Diego?
Yes.
Councilmember Coleman?
Yes.
Mayor Flores?
Yes.
Motion moves. Moving on, items from council, committee reports, and announcements.
Anyone wishing to report or announce anything? I will say that about a week and a half ago, Councilwoman Nicholas and myself, we are part of the League of California Cities Policy Committees, being well-versed and informed on the several various pieces of legislation and bills that are moving through committee right now, representing South San Francisco, ensuring that not only are we represented, but that we're looking for resources and connections. I will follow up with staff as I did connect with Governor Newsom's unhoused SAR that focuses on the homelessness grant efforts. And I need to follow up with you, Sharon, and connect the city for those resources too.
Great.
Councilmember Nicholas, do you want to add any on?
I almost forgot we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is a very vigorous conversation about the AI. AI is here to stay, and so I was encouraging our city to be part of the Go AI coalition that is based in San Jose. And I think there is a draft for the AI policy, but I think we have to strengthen a little bit more as everybody is now moving to AI. There are things that AI can do, but then there are still things that we need the human beings to be involved in. And also there are various bills that are there that we have talked about: SB 707, SB 239, AB 259, AB 370, SB 299. But I think the biggest and the most urgent is that we have to be part of the Go AI coalition. Let's get in touch with them and making sure that we have a vigorous and robust AI policy here in the city. Because I'm sure, even though it's not well known to everybody, I know that some people could be using AI. And so, like for example, the staff report, I think that will save us a lot of time if we go AI and get also, I think Tony has told me that we have a subscription already for AI, but something that we really need to look at.
Thank you, Councilmember Nicholas, for your report. Having no other items before this council, I'd like to adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Meeting adjourned at 8:46 p.m. And I want to thank the youth that were in the hall until very late right now. So thank you all for staying and sticking with us. Have a good night, and I'll see you guys back home soon. Thank you.
Recording stopped.